Good morning and welcome to Veterans Heartbeat on the Pulse of the Veteran, where we discuss issues of health, happiness, opportunity, and well-being of interest to the veteran community, their families, and the community who honors them.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Veterans Heartbeat, brought to you by River, the Rural Institute for Veterans Education and Research. My name is Jason Zencraft. My co-host Ed Lisofsky is here with me, and he is the Executive Director of River. We welcome you to a weekly wide-ranging discussion of issues, events, opportunities, and needs in our veteran community. Morning, Ed. How you doing?
Morning, Jason.
We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Farside Signs. They create amazing-looking vehicle graphics that will drive traffic to your business. They are located at 1526 South Avenue West in Missoula. Follow them on the web, Instagram, and Facebook, or just stop on by. For today's show, we're going to focus on small businesses, more specifically, small businesses that either focus on helping veterans or are ran by veterans. So, Ed, where do you want to start first?
Well, the other thing that we're going to have is we're lucky to have Jesse Ramos in the studio with us this morning. He was the one that found the $25 million missing money out of the city budget, and he's running for city council. So I wanted to serve up a listening session for some of the small business owners that are being affected by the huge tax burden from the city.
So yeah, Jesse, do you want to explain what Ed's talking about? The financing error that you noticed?
Hey, thanks a lot, Jason and Ed, for having me in today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the businesses of Missoula ran by veterans here in town. I know that it's an uphill battle for any business, but I think it's an especially hard battle for veterans here in Missoula who own a small business, because the city doesn't really seem to care about their needs at all. And that's something that I will be continuing to press the city council on, the fact that they have a $209 million budget and they don't allocate a nickel to veterans specifically. So that's something that I'm going to be talking to them with, and hopefully we will be getting a Veterans Advisory Council coming up soon, and hopefully Mr. Ed Lisofsky would be a part of that.
Well, thank you, Jesse. So one of the businesses, of course, we're going to focus on is a little bit about River. I introduced Connor, who joined River a couple of months ago. He's been working through the accounting nightmares of taking over from two guys that started it from nothing to this point. And Connor, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good. The Institute, financially healthy?
Yes. That is one good way of putting it. I've never been involved in a business like this with such amazing cash flow.
Where does all that money go?
So yeah, all the money goes pretty much right back to the vets. One of our big programs is, recreational therapy, and we go out. We have a pontoon boat that we take vets and their families out on the weekends, and all sorts of different equipment that is available to the veterans.
And that's, of course, at no charge. The other thing that we fund is the medical clinic.
Yeah, so the money that comes in from tuition and donations, we get to purchase a lot of the equipment for the clinic, so the clinic's been able to be operating at no cost to the vets and their family, which is great for the community.
We got an exciting event coming up at the end of the month. Jason, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Dr. Frank Urasik out of Cook County, Chicago. He's going to be coming up and going over a couple different acupuncture treatments and philosophies, and do some teaching on ear and hand acupuncture. The other thing he's going to do, if we can't get the developer of AlphaStim to come out, is either have them or have him do some training on the AlphaStim unit. So if you listen to our Veterans Heartbeat episode 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, we talked about AlphaStim and what it does. Essentially, I'll give you a brief overview. It's a microdose of what a TENS unit is. Problem with the TENS unit is it's too much electricity going into the muscle that it actually starts to weaken over time. The response starts to weaken, and it doesn't give as good results, whereas this unit is much smaller, but they also do diagnostics as they treat, so they can kind of amend on the fly. So we're going to be training on that, and afterwards, Friday and Saturday, we're going to be doing here in Missoula, and then over in Polson, we're going to be doing a clinic. So There'll be counseling, there'll be acupuncture, these alpha stim units, and a couple other things that we'll be offering at these clinics. So if you're interested, get a hold of us at 406-549-2302 or 273-8426, and we can give you more details on what exactly we'll be doing and what the times will be. Right now, we're shooting for about 9 to 5 each day, and just get a hold of us, and we'll tell you more about it.
We also have in the studio Dan Colson from Keller Williams Real Estate. Now, are you a small business owner? Can you explain that?
I am I'm a real estate agent, a small business owner. I'm in business for myself. My brokerage is Keller Williams, Western Montana Realty. But yes, I am a small business. I've also had experience startups before I became a real estate agent, and have a pretty good idea of how difficult it is, not just for a veteran startup, but a startup of any kind. You're just coming outside of the Army.
Now, unfortunately, you were an Army officer, not a Navy officer. Is that correct?
That's true. Army officer. Yes, sir.
So you were what, a second lieutenant?
I got out of the Army as a captain, actually.
So tell us a little bit about your Army career.
Well, I am an ROTC graduate. I graduated from Montana State University. Go Cats, right? But from there, I immediately went to officer basic course in Fort Bliss and became an air defense artillery officer. And I was immediately assigned to a CRAM unit. That stands for Counter Rocket Artillery Mortar. Basically shot the big CRAM guns, the Gatling guns, at rockets and mortars that were incoming. From there, I became a Patriot commander with a tour in Korea, as in the defense in Korea. And then my last duty position was at Fort Benning, training other officers at officer candidate school.
So you've been a leader in the Army.
I have.
And you know how to shoot them rockets coming out of the sky.
Well, my second lieutenants know how to shoot the rockets. I just tell them to fire.
So you know all about the little, how did Trump put it? The little
Rocket Man.
No, yeah, Rocket Man, but he called him the little crazy guy with bad haircut.
The bad haircut, right? Nice.
Well,
we know all about him.
Have you got any comments for Jesse on what the city council needs to do for veterans?
Well, it's always just great to support these the veterans wanting to start up businesses in the city, just especially because a lot of them getting out, they find it easier almost to start their own business than to integrate into a business that's already here. Just because a lot of people are looking for, hey, I want a person experienced in the hotel industry. I want a person experienced in this industry. So it's almost seen that the natural instinct of veterans getting out is, well, then I'm just going to go into business for myself because it's almost easier. And that's a good thing that I think could definitely be encouraged because that builds the economy. That gives the, that's going to create more competition. Create more competition, drive prices, the economy.
Well, Jesse, I got a question for you.
Okay.
There's a lot of incubators for different kinds of people. There's a woman's incubator for small businesses. But we don't even have, like you said, any money allocated for veterans. Why couldn't we have some kind of a veterans incubator for starting small businesses?
I think that is a great question, and that's something that I would like. That's one of the roles I would like to see the Veterans Advisory Council attack and address. I would like to see them address that issue. Again, the Veterans Advisory Council is something that I've been working with the City Council to start, and all it's going to do is it's going to kind of be a conglomeration of information for veterans provided by the city. They're going to be able to hear the concerns of the veterans on a monthly basis, and one of those main concerns is going to be jobs. And why doesn't the city offer some sort of veterans benefits or veterans preferences for veterans-owned businesses? I know that inside the city, they do have a veterans preference for city employees, but I'd like to see some of that for some of the contracts offered as well. There should be a veterans preference for companies that are owned by veterans, or veterans preference for some permits as well.
And Dan, what's your biggest headache within the city as a small business owner?
I don't know. Too much of a headache. I mean, I was I was raised all in Missoula, the Bitterroot Valley. I love Missoula, love coming back here. I would just say one of the biggest things is maybe that we could be wasting that veteran talent that's there that could come in and definitely do some good for the economy and do some good things there. But it's not just that maybe that's not there, but just advertise a little bit more, saying, hey, this is what we want. I mean, there's plenty places out there that are encouraging and want veterans to come in and are actively trying to grab veterans. And they are definitely a good pool that needs to be attracted. And I think Missoula could do a little bit better by saying, hey, come on, this is what we got for you, because Montana is already the place that veterans want to be. I mean, a lot of them come here. We got a high density of veterans here. So now it's just, hey, let's put them to work, and they got some great ideas.
All right, so now we're going to talk to Brian Foster, who is a master barber and owns Master Barber here in Missoula. Morning, Brian. How you doing?
Good, Ed. Thank you for having me on.
So, Brian, you're a Coast Guard veteran?
No. Marine Corps veteran.
Ooh, did I hit you hard?
No, not at all.
We have a lot of respect for the Coast Guard. They do a lot of good work. Anyway, Brian, can you tell me a little bit about your military background? Just a brief overview.
Yeah, sure. I went in to the Marine Corps in 1992. I retired in 2012. I had just over 20 years of service. While I was in, I served as a military policeman and a foreign weapons instructor, a marksmanship instructor, and I also did a tour on the SWAT team.
So a lot of experience there.
Yeah, a lot of policing experience for sure, yeah.
All right. Anyway, you own a small business here in Missoula. We have Jesse Ramos in the studio.
Oh, hey, Jesse.
How you doing, Brian?
Good. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for the last haircut. It's still holding up pretty well.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, Jesse was the one that discovered the $25 million oops in the city budget. And so we're just trying to figure this whole thing out as to what's going on with the veteran-owned businesses in town. What can we do to improve them?
Well, I know when I started, there wasn't any programs like there is for the GI Bill or the VA assistance to start your own business as a veteran. At the time, I couldn't find any places that did any type of loans or no interest loans or any type of grants to start your own business. And I'm still not familiar with any. If there are, they could be out there, but I couldn't locate any at the time. So I started my business all on cash and reinvested it, cash into the business to help it grow.
So a veterans coordinator from the city would have helped you tremendously.
Oh, definitely. Someone that could help me navigate through the building codes, licensing procedures. One thing that's funny of just being a barbershop, you don't need a business license for the city because you're regulated by the state. Well, no one down at City Hall told me that, so I actually got a business license that I didn't need to pay for. But if I had someone that was veteran-orientated as well as understanding what type of business I was opening, I would have been able to get that assistance and find out I didn't need to spend that money that the city did not refund to me.
The business licensing issue is huge here in Missoula. A lot of cities don't even require a city business license, and like you said, there are a lot of businesses and just different areas of industry that do pay that fee, and they're not required to. And the city isn't going to have any honor in that case, and let you know that, because as we know, they're incredibly desperate for any revenue they can get their hands on, and they're not going to turn it down.
What other problems have you seen there, Brian?
As a veteran business owner?
Or even a business owner?
I see, the remodel with the shop was difficult. A lot of changes took place between the first shop I had and the expansion to the new one. And again, if there was someone that could sit down with me or I could make an appointment with to kind of talk about what was new, I think that would have saved a lot of time on the construction project, getting permits and authorization and getting the right people to talk to, so it could go a lot smoother. Veterans like myself, we come into the community to open these businesses, and we're employing local people as well. and we're paying city fees as well as our taxes, and it does nothing but to boost the economy. And it would be nice to have someone on our level, a small business level, that could help us get started for sure.
So more or less, you'd like to see a bit of a return on investment for a lot of that money that you pay to the city in fees and in taxes that ultimately does come back to them and generates revenue.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some sort of a contact that you could go to that was knowledgeable about that. That would definitely be nice.
And they should have some kind of a knowledge of how to interface with the VA and getting grants and everything else.
Yeah, it would be nice to have something like that. You know, not everyone would need that, but it definitely would be nice to have.
Oh, I completely agree, and I think that there is a lot of room for improvement in the general business sector as well, not just in the veterans business sector. I think that needs a lot of work as well, but as most people kind of believe now that Missoula isn't very pro-business, and I think that having somebody on call to do exactly what you're saying would ultimately be beneficial to the economy, because you'd have more and more folks opening up businesses, creating more and more jobs, and ultimately creating more and more revenue for the city in a legitimate way, not through the higher impact fees and just raising taxes. That's never going to happen.
I definitely agree with you.
I appreciate your time this morning. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to extend out to the veterans. If you come into the barbershop, bring a picture, ask for me from your military service, and I'll put you up on the wall of veterans we have in the shop. And we're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturdays, 10 to 4, and we'd love to have you stop by.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Brian.
This morning we have Jordan Waldo, who owns RMF Entertainment, and he's also a veteran. Good morning, Jordan. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Ed. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So what is RMF Entertainment? And please don't tell me it's adult entertainment.
It's not adult entertainment, Ed. It is a wedding entertainment company. We do about 300 weddings a year. We got a staff of 10 amazing DJs, and we go all over Montana. Montana, surprisingly, has a huge number of weddings.
So
beautiful state.
This morning we have Jesse Ramos, who's been talking to some of the small business owners here in Missoula that are veteran-owned. Can you tell us what your number one headache was in starting your business?
Absolutely. Well, I would say the number one headache when starting my business was just turning my mentality into owning a business and running a business. It's a little bit different than having an employee mindset, and it's tough getting going and having that mindset, because you're going to get knocked down and you have to be able to get back up. Not everything is going to work always. So I would say my biggest struggle starting was just the loan process, making sure that we had the right things in place to be able to properly do that.
Out of the $209 million, if the city would have spent $100,000 on a mentor, would you have taken advantage of that?
Absolutely.
Jesse, you want to comment?
What kind of things do you think that business mentor, if the city was to get one, what kind of things would you have liked help with? Maybe a little bit of coaching on how to be an owner, not an employee, maybe help figuring out some of the stuff that is so difficult with all the red tape that the city of Missoula creates. Maybe just somebody to help you navigate that would probably be helpful.
Absolutely. I think having mentors and guidance for the younger generation that are starting businesses is very essential. And if there was that to be able to be provided to us as a veteran, oh my gosh, I'd take advantage of that hands down. I think anyone would take advantage of that. We're a team in this community, and we have to help everyone. And I would absolutely take advantage of that for sure.
And $100,000 out of $209 million is pennies, but it's also an investment, too. With that $100,000, they could easily generate several $1 million of revenue from that by helping business owners that otherwise might have failed or otherwise wouldn't have even gotten into the business world, create jobs and produce goods and ultimately generate revenue.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing in today's age, growing up in school, you're not taught how to make money and you're not taught how to save money. Okay, money management's huge. That even in college, we're very, very rarely taught how to actually manage a business and run it properly by people that have actually been out in the real world and have made it happen. So I think if we had that network of people, you would see a huge rise in young entrepreneurs wanting to start their own business, excited and hungry to do something more with their lives. So absolutely, couldn't agree more with you.
And just to touch on that, a lot of times small business owners, they're really good at what they do. Like your passion is planning weddings and events, and you know that like the back of your hand. But and I work in finance, so I work with a lot of small business owners that are running into the same problem. They know their craft, they know their trade, but they don't know all this red tape that the government puts in front of them, and it really is, I think, depriving us of some really good businesses and business owners because of that.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. There's a lot of talented people out there with a lot of amazing ideas and a lot of products that just aren't able to get out into the world because they don't have the money to start a business, or when they start making money, they don't know how to manage that money. And, I'm young, I'm 27. I have owned a business for a very short amount of time that's doing very successful, but going into the future, I'm looking for this guidance. I'm seeking it out, and I'm very thankful for Ed and River for being able to provide and help me with a lot of knowledge and guidance going on into the future. But I couldn't agree more. There should be something implemented where young people or small business owners can seek that guidance and have a little bit more of, hey, things are scary out there. You might not understand everything, but this is where you can start. Or if you run into this issue, you can call us, and we've been through it.
Well, thank you, Jordan, for your time this morning. And we will be talking to you at the River Institute. Thanks, Jordan.
All right, Ed. It's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you guys soon.
So this morning we've now have heard from 3 different small businesses that are here in Missoula. Jesse, what's your comment about the business environment? Do you think it's a good place to start a business right now?
I think that Missoula has the potential to be a very good place to start a business. However, right now, I think that the city makes it so difficult to start up a business with permits and different fees that they charge, which are all just hidden forms of taxes. And as you know, my job is in the financial services world, and I have a lot of clients that own small businesses. So I kind of know firsthand. I've known firsthand for the last couple of years how the environment has been, and it's done nothing but get worse. As the city needs more and more revenue, they think that the only way to get that is by introducing more fees on these small businesses, and it's absolutely killing them when they haven't even made $20 yet, and the city's charging them $200 for a sewer permit for a hot dog stand. It's just it's insane. They're acquiring all this upfront money for small businesses, and it's just not letting them get off the ground. And the only ones that are able to thrive are the large corporations, like the Starbucks of the world. And it's just a very hard place to start a small business right now.
So earlier, Dan, you were talking with me about as you said, putting out fires. Do you want to kind of explain how that pertains to veterans in the housing situation?
Actually, yeah, this is a really big deal. Near and dear to my heart is the VA loan in Montana. And it was something I actually really struggled with in the beginning of my career in real estate last year, is a lot of people were turning down VA loans when they'd get that buy-sell and it was checked VA. They would automatically say, oh, this is going to be too much work. It's going to be too much work. And it almost seems like it's shutting down that VA ability to get that home loan, because when the home seller sees that, all they see is, oh, there's going to be an appraiser that's going to come in and tear apart my house and tell me all the things that are wrong with it. And, oh, by the way, most likely they're going to have to come out a second time because they've missed something. which we're seeing a lot in the appraisers and that out here. And it was a shame because some agents would say, "Hey, this is a VA loan. Let's push it off to the side and go more for the conventional or for the other loan." So, and I think it is improving and it will get better. But that's a shame when we see that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the fires I've been putting out lately. Is just, hey, it takes time. You're dealing with the VA, so but it just takes a little bit of time and understanding.
Well, thank you, everyone, for coming on the show and explaining how their business or the business that they work for benefits veterans or just Missoula in general. So thank you very much for listening to Veterans Heartbeat. We'd not be able to bring it to you without all the support of the listeners. And thank you again to Farside Signs for sponsoring the show. If you do need a unique vehicle design, swing on by and check them out. Also, thank you to our main sponsor, River. River has an array of services such as veterans-focused education, a vestibular disorder clinic, and now non-pharmaceutical treatments for pain, anxiety, and depression. Check them out on Facebook or on the web at riverofchange.org. Lastly, we'd like to show our appreciation to all of our veterans. Thank you for serving our country and keeping it safe.